Gavin, good morning. How are you?
Fine. There are two other people joining this.
Oh, yes, Heather Hendrickson, welcome. And James Dale, good morning. And you have 15 minutes in total. We have seen your supplementary submission as well. This is your time, so totally up to you. But if there is any time left after you have finished speaking to your petition, there might be questions from members.
Okay, thank you very much. With me, I have Dr. Heather Hendrickson, an early career researcher in microbial biology and evolutionary biology, and Jim Dale, a professor in zoology and ecology. I'll take the submission as read. My submission concerns the College of Sciences discussion document, which outlines a plan by Massey University to disestablish sciences at its Albany campus. My submission outlines how and why the plan is flawed. It misrepresents financial and market information. There was no consultation with Auckland stakeholders whatsoever, not with local business, not with students, not with mana whenua, not with staff. Notably, not even with government, who pays 2/3 of the fees of the nearly 2,000 students that will affect, 700 in the BSc alone, and is surely a major stakeholder. There are no plans to discuss nor meaningfully engage with feedback. The plan is supported by poor modelling and represents no data or analytics to suggest it will work. The plan is completely at odds with current and former government's tertiary education strategy and their science and innovation strategies. Future of work analyses suggest that 75% of new jobs will require a STEM basis, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These are areas of excellence here in Auckland and include global issues of climate change, marine environment, emergence of diseases, modelling and data analysis. The plan will damage New Zealand's tertiary education goals to deliver skills for industry and supporting economic growth. But actually, the plan is made worse by recent events. It focuses on recruiting international students to the Palmerston North campus and online teaching from there. However, international has gone. And when best, science is a hands-on endeavour. Students have seen what's online and formed their own view. Everyone is doing it, and Massey has no special capability anymore. Youth unemployment is expected to soar in the next couple of years, and the jobs they typically step into or use to support themselves through study and tourism and hospitality are gone. There will be few or no New Zealand students travelling overseas for study or work experience. So we can only expect stronger domestic growth in Auckland by students who want to study locally to reduce costs. This is already the fastest growing tertiary education market in the country. Prime Minister has recently stated that universities should now be planning to grow and upskill New Zealanders of all ages for future work. So that's why we've respectfully requested that this committee launch an inquiry into the process by which this document was developed and deployed. We also asked the committee investigate the leadership of Massey University with respect to its dedication to maintaining the characteristics of a university and in particular research-led teaching. We further asked the committee to recommend censoring the university leadership for the timing and release of its document, seemingly designed to cause maximum distress and disruption. And noting the petition signed by nearly 3,000 and 30,000 individuals, many submissions representing national academies and governing bodies with memberships themselves in the thousands, we asked the committee to recommend that proportionate representation from the university's largest campus in Auckland be established in its senior leadership. Thanks. Heather?
Thank you. I'm going to speak about what would be lost if our school was replaced by online teaching, as is proposed in this document. Each year, our school invites over 1,000 local and international secondary students to participate in hands-on science activities. This is just part of how we give back to a society that invests in our university. We also invite the larger community to our monthly Fascination Science Lecture series, where we allow them to engage directly with top academics. We invite them to join us because science advances faster when it excites the imagination and when you can actually be in the room. That same principle guides our research-led teaching. We offer modern programs that allow students to make real contributions to solving the world's most challenging problems. Challenges like predicting epidemics, tackling climate change, combating superbugs, and supporting conservation efforts. Our world-class scientists at Massey Albany share their passion for these problems in the classroom. And our students are at the whiteboard with award-winning mathematicians. They are at the lab bench with top microbiologists, and they are in the field with global leaders in ecology. And this is what it means for our science students to be in the room. The discussion document has proposed that natural science teaching be removed in Albany and that one day science majors be taught online from Palmerston North. This would effectively take every science student at Massey Albany out of the room. We also ask if the proposed online science courses would even meet the Education Act's definition of a university. The Act states that a university is the place where research and teaching are closely interdependent, and most of the teaching is done by people who are active in advancing knowledge. So what happens when the natural scientists are removed from a campus? Teaching at the whiteboard, the lab bench, and the field site will no longer be done by people who are advancing those fields. And this committee has an opportunity to ask whether the online education that is rapidly evolving during the current crisis risks removing the heart and soul from our universities. An inquiry by this committee into proposed changes will hold Massey leadership into account for their responsibility to maintain science education and outreach as a public good. A university is a complex intellectual inheritance that serves the community and all of New Zealand. And the leadership team of Massey University is appointed as the interim custodian of this institution, but they do not have a license to dismantle this public good. Thank you for your time, and I pass to Jim.
Good morning, and thank you for hearing our submission. My brief statement is about the challenges we face as a country and the opportunity provided by continuing to offer natural sciences at the Albany campus of Massey University. It's an opportunity not just for the university, but also for the nation. The challenges we face as a country are serious. We are living through one of them right now. There was a newsroom op-ed by Janet Stevenson making the rounds last week called "COVID-19 has nothing on what's coming." Stevenson argues the impacts of coronavirus will be trivial compared to the disruption from climate action failure, biodiversity loss, extreme weather, environmental degradation, and water crises. These are 5 of the top 10 risks identified by the World Economic Forum, and infectious diseases are just one more. We all know the future is fraught with such challenges, but we can solve these problems with interdisciplinary approaches that rely on science. Our department provides an opportunity to make major contributions in this regard. Our school is an established, networked, and functioning science department. Our group is comprised of many early career scientists with top international reputations, and we are active in publishing, grant generation, and educating. Our research uses interdisciplinary approaches to confront important problems. We are financially sustainable and growing. We offer STEM training to school leavers and mature students in the North Shore and Northland, one of the fastest growing regions in the country, with infrastructure improvements in the pipeline that will provide even greater access to the North. Massey's enrollments data show clear, sustained growth in the sciences at Albany over the last 15 years, and we expect that to continue. Massey's leadership has offered a proposal, not a change plan. However, it did not include any input from Albany staff, students, or stakeholders. Our view is that an inquiry from this committee will be constructive towards developing a more forward-looking, resilient strategic plan for science at Massey, a plan that embraces Massey's investment and commitment to train the future scientists and leaders of the North Shore, Northland, and New Zealand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes left, so we will go to questions if that's all right. So just to clarify, so the school is running full capacity and you don't struggle filling up places. Can you hear me?
You're on mute.
Yeah.
Gavin.
So just a
Gavin,
quick
you're on mute.
question.
Yes, we are growing. We're moving off one Otaroa campus onto a new purpose-built building that should allow for intermediate growth over the next 3 to 5 years. After that, the plans were that new buildings would be built and we would grow into those as well. So we're having sustained growth. We're not peaked or capped at the moment, but the future is there.
So how many people now, what is the latest, how many people have signed your petition?
There are 12,800 and something or other, nearly 13,000. But as I said, many of those signatories represent thousands of people themselves. So this is an international thing. We didn't touch on the fact that the proposals that Massey brought about and the timing of it really impacted the international market. People are aware of what's happening.
Thank you. We'll go to Erica Stanford.
Thank you. Look, thank you so much for your submission. This is an incredibly important issue, and I'm glad, Heather, that you brought up some of the work that Massey does around Auckland. I know, especially on the North Shore, the visits that you do to schools and getting schools into Massey is absolutely invaluable. I've obviously read your submission, and you talk about your incredible financials, your increasing role, your amazing teaching staff. Given all of this, why do you think that Massey University in Palmerston North have made this decision, given that there's no population report, no financials, no cost benefit analysis, no future of work report, no understanding of the Auckland market? How do you think that they've come to this decision, and why do you think they've come to this decision, given all of that?
Heather, you're muted.
I think that the leadership in Palmerston North is very Palmerston North centric. And the fact that we have no representation really in the senior leadership at this university, despite all of the contributions that we have, means that they just don't know what we're doing. And I hope that the last month and a half has given them a little bit of a wake-up call as to that. We've had a lot of support, obviously, with the petition, and we've done a good job, I think, of making our case in the media. I think they're a lot more aware now of the price than they were 2 months ago when they were putting together this submission. But I think it's largely neglect in establishing fair and equitable leadership in the way that you would expect a treaty-led university to respect
all right
community.
We'll go to thank you. We'll go to Honorable Claire Curran.
Thanks for that. Thanks for your submission. Can I just ask about the status of this document? It's a discussion document, which, as I understand it, which means that it hasn't been through all of its processes. I mean, I understand by reading your submission to the Select Committee that you're not particularly trustful of the process, but it is a process, and it is a consultation document, isn't it? So it hasn't actually gone through to a conclusion. And I would imagine that you have put in a submission, a strong submission, and that there are other submissions. So I'm just a bit curious about the point at which it's come to the Select Committee.
Yeah, we could discuss that. Firstly, I don't think any of us believe that this is a discussion document. There is no discussion in it. It outlines a plan. All of the just miniature of the plan. Secondly, the proposal asks for feedback, but there's no way that there's going to be any meaningful engagement. They ask for feedback from our two mana whenua, Ngāti Whātua Kaipara and Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei, and they ask for that feedback and discussion to go on in 2 weeks. Well, you will know that that's simply impossible. There's no plan to look at the feedback that they get. The last we heard was that the feedback is going to be collated in documents sent to an agency in the US who will form a Woodle. So they'll hunt down keywords and send that back to Massey. And that's Massey's regard for the people who have spent serious time preparing these sorts of submissions. So that doesn't seem to me like a discussion.
All right, a final question from Honourable Nikki Kay.
Oh, look, thank you very much for your time today. And, obviously, Eric has as well been pushing the case massively from our side. Can I just ask you to really articulate for those people that are watching how devastating this will be really for the science fabric of New Zealand. I mean, I think the point that's been made to me is that there are going to be so many different layers of society impacted by this. We're going to have obviously schools impacted, we've got a whole lot of jobs impacted, but that if this is about cost cutting, we're going to lose a group of scientists, young scientists coming through, and we're also going to arguably damage our international reputation. So can you just comment more on,
Jim?
Obviously you're biased a bit, but on the scale of the layers of impact to society and science as a result if this decision goes ahead?
Okay, so in your question, you stated a lot of the effects that are going to happen if this plan goes as currently described. The international reputation for New Zealand will be compromised. It will be difficult to attract talented scientists for any New Zealand institution if there's a sense that the floor can be just pulled out from under you at any moment. And that is bad for science. The other aspect of it, which you also touched on, is the impact that it'll have on the scientific community in this region and the potential for students to be trained in particular programs that we're experts in, such as biological conservation and such things like that. So that impact will be far-reaching, not just within our region, but to any students in New Zealand or internationally who might want to focus on those particular areas. And the third impact that it will have, and you also touched on this in your question, is that we have numerous partnerships and groups that we have association with. These have been networked over years and nurtured rather. And that network, which is really impossible to capture in a discussion document, will just be dismantled. And the effects of that will reach far in terms of the future of science in this country.
So just a final supplementary.
No, sorry, we don't have time for any more questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And James,
Thank you, guys.
for your submission, and thank you to your team. Thank you.
Very much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.